We are not in the courtroom this week determining whether or not these victims were victims of sex crimes at the hands of Mr. Epstein. That's not what this trial is about. This trial is about Ms. Maxwell's alleged activity to enable Mr. Epstein to abuse these little kids. We've got 6 different charges, and in some instances, all 4 accusers are attached to the charge, and in some instances, it's 1, maybe 2 attached to the charge. It should always be the goal in these cases that the victims are not further exploited or re-victimized. Coming forward, and I'm speaking from personal experience, is one of the most difficult, arduous things that you will ever do in your life. Let's remember, they are facing one of their alleged perpetrators for the first time in many, many years. They are going to be sitting in the same room as her and testifying in front of her. That's terrifying. So whether or not these survivors are ready to put their names behind this, and if they're ever ready to put their names behind this, it does not matter. All of their stories matter. I don't necessarily see her calling herself a victim of Epstein, because then she would have to admit that something went horribly wrong and she potentially participated in it. I think she's way too lawyered up to take that stance, though you never know, right? She's got an enormous legal team. She has spent lots of money on them. I don't necessarily think that she will be taking that stance. I think her stance is, I did nothing wrong. I had no idea this was happening. It had nothing to do with me. Juries are not going to like her. She's an affluent, sort of, arrogant, silver spoon, grew up in fancy ways. I don't think she's relatable to a jury. I don't think a jury is going to find her to be moving. This particular expert, Ms. Loftus, has been a defense expert in more than 300 trials. So of course she pops up again in this case. I'm not surprised it was her. This is someone who, in my opinion, in my work that I do, defends the indefensible. And we can look at her roster, right? She's testified on behalf of Ted Bundy, O.J. Simpson, Weinstein, Cosby. And her take is, let's try to discredit child rape and everything we know about what happens to the brain when a person is raped in their childhood. Virginia's story has been well documented. It's taken a lot of twists and turns, and I don't believe that in order for the prosecution to get a conviction in Maxwell, they needed her to be a part of this. That does not discredit her whatsoever. I don't think it makes any statement about who the prosecution's willing to take on or not.